Donald John Trump, born June 14, 1946, is an American politician, media personality, and businessman who is the 47th President of the United States. A member of the Republican Party, he served as the 45th President from 2017 to 2021. Born in New York City, Trump graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in 1968 with a bachelor's degree in economics. He became the president of his family's real estate business in 1971, renamed it the Trump Organization, and began acquiring and building skyscrapers, hotels, casinos, and golf courses. He launched side ventures, many licensing the Trump name, and filed for 6 business bankruptcies in the 1990s and 2000s. From 2004 to 2015, he hosted the reality television show The Apprentice, bolstering his fame as a billionaire. As the Republican nominee, Trump won the 2016 presidential election against the Democratic nominee, Hillary Clinton. During his first term, Trump imposed a travel ban on 7 Muslim-majority countries, expanded the U.S. Mexico border wall, and enforced a family separation policy. He rolled back environmental and business regulations, signed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and appointed 3 Supreme Court justices. Trump also withdrew the U.S. from agreements on climate, trade, and Iran's nuclear program, began a trade war with China, and met for talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un without reaching a deal on denuclearization. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, he downplayed its severity, contradicted health officials, and signed the CARES Act. After losing the 2020 presidential election to Joe Biden, Trump attempted to overturn the outcome, culminating in the January 6 Capitol attack in 2021. Trump was impeached in 2019 for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, and in 2021 for incitement of insurrection. The Senate acquitted him both times. After his first term, scholars and historians ranked him as one of the worst presidents in American history. Trump is the central figure of Trumpism, and his faction is dominant within the Republican Party. Many of his comments and actions have been characterized as racist or misogynistic, and he has made false and misleading statements and promoted conspiracy theories to a degree unprecedented in American politics. Trump's actions, especially in his second term, have been described as authoritarian and contributing to Democratic backsliding. In 2023, Trump was found liable in civil cases for sexual abuse and defamation and for business fraud. And in 2024, he was found guilty of falsifying business records, making him the first U.S. president convicted of a felony. After winning the 2024 presidential election against Kamala Harris, Trump was sentenced to a penalty-free discharge, and 2 felony indictments against him were dismissed. Trump began his second term by pardoning around 1,500 January 6th rioters and initiating mass layoffs of federal workers. His extensive use of executive orders has drawn numerous lawsuits challenging their legality. He pursued a protectionist trade policy and imposed sweeping global tariffs. Early life and education. Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946, at Jamaica Hospital in the New York City borough of Queens, the 4th child of Fred Trump and Mary and McLeod Trump. He is of German and Scottish descent. He grew up with his older siblings, Mary Ann, Fred Jr., and Elizabeth, and his younger brother, Robert, in a mansion in the Jamaica Estates neighborhood of Queens. Fred Trump paid his children each about $20,000 a year, equivalent to $265,000 a year in 2024. Trump was a millionaire at age 8 by contemporary standards. Trump attended the private Q Forest School through 7th grade. He was a difficult child and showed an early interest in his father's business. His father enrolled him in New York Military Academy, a private boarding school, to complete secondary school. Trump considered a show business career, but instead in 1964 enrolled at Fordham University. 2 years later, he transferred to the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, graduating in May 1968 with a Bachelor of Science in Economics. He was exempted from the draft during the Vietnam War due to a claim of bone spurs in his heels. Business career. Starting in 1968, Trump was employed at his father's real estate company, Trump management, which owned racially segregated middle-class rental housing in New York City's outer boroughs. In 1971, his father made him president of the company, and he began using the Trump Organization as an umbrella brand. Roy Cohn was Trump's fixer, lawyer, and mentor for 13 years in the 1970s and 1980s. In 1973, Cohn helped Trump countersue the U.S. government for $100 million, equivalent to $708 million in 2024, over its charges that Trump's properties had racially discriminatory practices. Trump's counterclaims were dismissed, and the government's case was settled with the Trumps signing a consent decree agreeing to desegregate. 4 years later, Trumps again faced the courts when they were found in contempt of the decree. Before age 30, he showed his propensity for litigation, no matter the outcome and cost. Even when he lost, he described the case as a win. Helping Trump projects, Cohn was a consigliere whose mafia connections controlled construction unions. Cohn introduced political consultant Roger Stone to Trump, who enlisted Stone's services to deal with the federal government. Between 1991 and 2009, he filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection for 6 of his businesses: the Plaza Hotel in Manhattan, the casinos in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and the Trump Hotels and Casino Resorts Company. In 1992, Trump, his siblings Marianne, Elizabeth, and Robert, and his cousin John W. Walter, each with a 20% share, formed All County Building Supply and Maintenance Corp. The company had no offices and is alleged to have been a shell company for paying the vendors providing services and supplies for Trump's rental units, then billing those services and supplies to Trump management with markups of 20 to 50% and more. The owners shared the proceeds generated by the markups. The increased costs were used to get state approval for increasing the rents of his rent-stabilized units. Manhattan and Chicago developments. Trump attracted public attention in 1978 with the launch of his family's first Manhattan venture, the renovation of the derelict Commodore Hotel, adjacent to Grand Central Terminal. The financing was facilitated by a $400 million city property tax abatement arranged for him by his father, who also, jointly with Hyatt, guaranteed a $70 million bank construction loan. The hotel reopened in 1980 as the Grand Hyatt Hotel, and that same year he obtained rights to develop Trump Tower, a mixed-use skyscraper in Midtown Manhattan. The building houses the headquarters of the Trump Corporation and Trump's PAC, and was his primary residence until 2019. In 1988, Trump acquired the Plaza Hotel with a loan from a consortium of 16 banks. The hotel filed for bankruptcy protection in 1992, and a reorganization plan was approved a month later, with the banks taking control of the property. In 1995, he defaulted on over $3 billion of bank loans, and the lenders seized the Plaza Hotel along with most of his other properties in a vast and humiliating restructuring that allowed him to avoid personal bankruptcy. The lead bank's attorney said of the bank's decision that they all agreed that he'd be better alive than dead. In 1996, Trump acquired and renovated the mostly vacant 71-story skyscraper at 40 Wall Street, later rebranded as the Trump Building. In the early 1990s, he won the right to develop a 70-acre tract in a Lincoln Square neighborhood near the Hudson River. Struggling with debt from other ventures in 1994, he sold most of his interest in the project to Asian investors, who financed the project's completion. Riverside South, Trump's last major construction project, was a 92-story mixed-use Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago, which opened in 2008. In 2024, the New York Times and ProPublica reported that the Internal Revenue Service was investigating whether he had twice written off losses incurred through construction cost overruns and lagging sales of residential units in the building he had declared to be worthless on his 2008 tax return. Atlantic City casinos. In 1984, Trump opened Harrah's at Trump Plaza, a hotel and casino, with financing and management help from the Holiday Corporation. It was unprofitable, and he paid Holiday $70 million in May 1986 to take sole control. In 1985, he bought the unopened Atlantic City Hilton Hotel and renamed it Trump Castle. Both casinos filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in 1992. Trump bought a third Atlantic City venue in 1988, the Trump Taj Mahal. It was financed with $675 million in junk bonds and completed for $1.1 billion, opening in April 1990. He filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in 1991. Under the provisions of the restructuring agreement, he gave up half his initial stake and personally guaranteed future performance. To reduce his $900 million of personal debt, he sold the Trump Shuttle airline, his mega yacht, the Trump Princess, which had been leased to his casinos and kept docked, and other businesses. In 1995, Trump founded Trump Hotels and Casino Resorts, THCR, which assumed ownership of the Trump Plaza. THCR purchased the Taj Mahal and the Trump Castle in 1996 and went bankrupt in 2004 and 2009, leaving him with 10% ownership. He remained chairman until 2009.